Um, okay, we're gonna get started for the Hearsay Talk by Ying Ying. So Ying Ying's been a UX designer for over a year now, and she's going to give us a talk about her adventures in backpacking. So thanks, guys. I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Maddie. So as Maddie said, I've been here for just a little over a year. And since I joined, I find people here are very adventurous. So I first want to ask you a question. When you hear the word adventure, what comes to your mind? Shout it out. Travel, outdoors. Yeah, great. So many things can be called adventures. And I don't consider myself growing up as adventurous, but when I hear about this word adventure, outdoors activity is always the first thing came to my mind. In the place where I grew up, camping, backpacking are not popular. I never done camping when I grew up, and sleeping in a tent would never be the first option for my family. But I do admire adventurers, whether it's the Cheryl Strayed, the girl in the movie Wild who walked 1,000 miles in Pacific Crest Trail, or some couple have their engagement occasion on the tip of a mountain. But it's hard for me to imagine that person in the picture is me. And they feel very far away because I've never really done this. So for lack of such outdoor adventures, getting into them really needs some inspiration. It was not until early this year that I learned my friend's this big backpacking adventure on the John Muir Trail. So for those of you who don't know about John Muir Trail, it is a trail that's more than 200 miles long, stretching all the way from Yosemite National Park to Mountain Viney in Southern California. And she did it by herself. It took her 26 days to walk the entire trip. And starting the trip, she had 37 pounds on her back. So when I flipping through her pictures, I saw this is so awesome. I've never done this, but maybe I can do something similar, a John Muir Trail or some similar long distance backpacking trip, right? So far, at that point, I only done some hikes over the weekend in the daytime. And of course, that and this long distance backpacking trip are very different. So how do I go from zero to long distance backpacker, and what does it mean to even leave all this modern life behind? And can I even fall asleep in a tent in the wild? I was completely clueless. And this was in March. So this half a year passed. My husband, who is also a newbie, never done camping before, and we had some awesome short backpacking trips during this time. It's still very far from our goal to do a long distance backpacking trip, but at least we made our first step. So today I'm going to share with you this journey, how we started, and then talk a little bit about how you can plan your own backpacking trip to get started. Hopefully, if any of you have thought about going backpacking but get intimidated by it or never get a chance to do it, I hope to bring you some inspiration. So as I said, when I started, I have no idea where to start. It's not something I can read from the book. I know it's not in 100% safe if I just go buy some random stuff and go by myself. So Google search came to rescue. And I found this outdoor store, REI, they conduct regular overnight backpacking trips for beginners. Basically, if you have fear, this is to help you to eliminate the fear. And my husband and I decided that one of us can go and take back the learning. And guess what? I volunteered. So I signed it up. I was very confident because with two instructors and several other peers, I could not possibly do anything wrong in this trip. So I had many of my first time moments. And this is my backpack, the rental from REI, and they first time stuffed this 65-liter backpack. The light is a sleeping bag at the bottom, heavy is water in close to my back, and the rest are the tent and other medium weight items. My first time to use hiking poles. It's so easy for you on your knees when you go uphill and downhill. My first time to pitch a tent on the ground took me less than 10 minutes. I think it's thanks to the modern design. It's very easy. Also, first time to eat in the wild, to cook and eat in the wild. We boil water and we eat a dehydrated food. I thought it was awesome. So originally, I was a little worried whether I can fall asleep in the wild, but in fact, nothing can wake me up. So I didn't even hear anything about a surprise visitor to our campground. The next day, I woke up. Someone found their backpack is originally, for example, originally here was dragged to another place, and it was dragged by a raccoon for sure. The reason why is he left the empty sandwich bag in his backpack. Good that he didn't put it in his tent, otherwise something will get into the tent, right? So that's probably my most important lesson from this trip, is to never leave anything smell like food in your backpack or your tent, because animals will smell them and try to grab them. Things like toothpaste, lotion, or anything smells that may potentially like food. So this trip was very successful, and immediately following this, I booked a camp space on Andrew Island again, the same place, because this is where I was familiar with. My first trip is very accessible, and this time I got to get my husband on board. So things went well. He does all the heavy lifting stuff, and the benefit of traveling with a companion is you can share the weight. I don't have to carry the tent, he does it, and he also carry half of the gear. So each of us carried about 20 pounds on our back. We walked about 4 or 5 miles. So we had a very quiet night, and we woke up to a sunrise on the horizon. The next morning, of course, we had a morning hike around the island, and seems like nobody else woke up yet. So it seems like the island was owned by us. So isn't that cool? After this, we feel we can handle more trips and longer distances. So, and now at this time, basically the book about backpacking, YouTube videos, and all that information about backpacking start making sense to me. So we have several longer trips, not very long, but some every time we try something new. And this is us 2-night stay in Yosemite National Park. We have about 20 pounds on our backs, and we experience different terrains. We even found snow on the back of a hill. And this is in this trip we did one of our longest hikes so far with backpack. It's about 18 miles on a day. Everything hurts after that, but it's so worth it. This is the Point Reyes. We've seen the most green and beautiful world that we've seen so far, and it's only accessible by feet. Also 2-night stay. And this is Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe, we only stayed there 1 night, but this is the first time we didn't stay in an established campground, meaning you can pick your space. You find an area that's flat and you pitch your tent. There's no restroom, no modern facilities around. You have to basically figure that out. So without that, we made some first steps in our short backpacking trips, and we still want to do a longer one, either around Lake Tahoe, which may take two weeks, that's 170 miles, or John Muir Trail, about more than 200 miles. So we need to prepare for that physically and mentally, so stay tuned. Next, I want to talk a little bit about how you can plan your own backpacking trip. So first, then you need to figure out where you want to go, when you want to go, and how long you can go. This is a map for Lake Tahoe. You can choose to hike one section, which may take 2 days, 1 or 2 days, or you can choose to hike the entire thing, 170 miles, probably take 2 weeks, and you have to plan how many miles you need to walk every day, and that's more complex. You also need to pick up the location you need to buy your supplies. So decide that. Also figure out whether you like to walk more, which means backpacking, or you tend to like camping more, that you carry a lot of more other gears to go fishing, to go barbecuing. So different types of styles, whether which one you like, figure that out. Once that's done, you can do your due diligence. Weather is very important, whether you need to bring your rain gear, right? Some of the parks require permits on the campground, or on whether you need to have a fire permit to use a stove. So you need to get that beforehand, because some places are very packed. It's very hard to get permits. You always need to know about the environment and know what animals may appear. For example, Lake Tahoe have bears. We we have to bring a bear canister to put all our smelly stuff in. So make sure you know what's around, and always bring enough, more than enough to eat, drink, and wear, keep you warm. REI has this excellent list, basically 10 essentials for backpackers, what to bring. This is a picture of my stuff when we were going for our second Angel Island trip. Basically, you need to bring a map or compass, know where you are, where you're going, protect yourself from the sun, like a hat or sunglasses, extra clothing to keep you warm, bring some light, because in the wild, there's nothing light up in the wild at night. Some band-aids, first aid supplies in case anything breaks up, and some lighter candles in case of emergency or get lost, you need to signal people. And in terms of repair kit, my duct tape is my favorite, because you can, if you need to patch your leaking sleeping pads or anything that breaks, use that. It's very helpful. Extra food, extra water, emergency shelter, meaning tents or tarp, always good to bring. Outside of that, I always suggest that you need to have a pair of comfortable shoes, because as you walk, this is the same shoe there. As you walk, all your weight and all your backpack's weight is on your feet, and you need to take care of your feet. Also, try to get some more professional outfit. I have a convertible pants, as you guys can see. If I'm too sweaty, I can take the down part, lower parts off, and this is becoming shorts. You need to protect yourself from bugs. There are ticks around, and you don't want to get Lyme disease or something like that. And travel with a companion always helps. It's not just a share the weight, but also you can take care of each other. And maybe you can find your creativity outlet. So in a trip to Lake Tahoe, because we know that there would be no restroom around, so my husband cut out a shovel out of this soy sauce plastic container to dig holes on the ground, just in case, right? Um, uh, this is so the one rule for the hole is you need to dig probably 6 to 8 inches high, tall, and you only drop your organic stuff in it. Don't drop any paper and hygiene human products. That's not good for the environment. And one thing I like to do is to track my time and track the routes. So when you see the figures, it really has, you can really feel the sense of accomplishment after your hike. Some resources for you to use. There are a lot of books. Some of my favorite books, and YouTube video is always good. there are starter classes, REI and other schools, they have that. And use apps to track your routes. If you want to train yourself, go to meetup.com. There are a lot of meetup groups. They meet and just hike or backpack. So find them. And friends are always good to go to because they have a lot of people here. They go outdoors and you can share gears from them before you commit to buy a $400 tent or some very expensive backpacks. So at least for me, backpacking opens a whole new world since early this year. And now I have more opportunities to see different parts of the world, different ways to see them, and more exercise, also more topics to chat with you guys. And if you're looking for a venture that's not too intimidating, this is a good starting point because it has a low threshold on it. All you need is to explore the world, use your feet. And New Year's coming also. It's a good time that you start planning some adventures next year. So adventure on, everyone. Questions?
In the tent or outside the tent or in a bag, you just throw it away?
Food?
Yeah, how did you actually keep the food?
Usually in established campground, they have a storage box. So you can put all your smelly items there, your washing faces, the lotion. You usually have a big place to put. But in Lake Tahoe or other wilderness, you don't have that. So you have to bring a bare canister, some big container that you can put aside, not closer to your tent, or you can hang it on a tree, which we haven't done before. I'm too short to do that.
Thank you.
Ying Ying, what wild animals have you seen on the trails
On the trails.
or near your tents?
Okay, so definitely raccoons. One time we heard a raccoon, something's coming, and in the middle of the night. And so my husband opened like unzip the tent a little bit and feels that thing came closer. So we just basically zipped it back. So it was a little intimidating. So raccoons definitely, squirrels. I actually saw one banana slug that I've never saw before. It's about this long, and I originally saw someone threw a jalapeno on the road. It looks very weird. Um, we haven't saw bears. Hopefully to saw, but not share the tent with them. Um, a lot of birds, eagle and hawk. So very pretty. A lot of bugs.
Yeah, where do you think your next adventure will be?
We hope to go around the Lake Tahoe. Not immediately next. We haven't planned the very next, but that's kind of the next thing we want to do. Drives us towards that.
So when you go on multi-day trips, and if you are camping at an established campsite, how do you leave your things behind? And is everything there when you come back from your day of exploring?
Yeah, so we did both left our stuff there and put everything back in our backpack. You can, if you stay in the same campsite, you can leave your tent there. Usually people don't touch it. But if you go from one campsite to another, you basically have to pack everything in your bag and walk everything on your back there. Yeah, it is heavy. When you have more than 10 miles of walk, yes. Any other questions?
What's the most you've walked during a day?
That would be the Yosemite one. It's probably 18 miles
Oh, wow.
with 20 pounds on the back. It took me a week to recover my knee, I think.
Oh, really? Damn. What was the elevation? Was it?
It was a lot. It was
Oh.
from 4,000 feet where the Yosemite Valley
Uh-huh.
is to ups and downs, and all the way to Glacier Points around 7,000 feet.
Oh wow.
And but that's basic. That's that's 3,000 feet about. But you go up and down, so in total probably 6,000 feet that day. All right. So if any ladies wants to go for backpacking and wondering about lady specific questions, I can also chat in private later.